Hey. Happy Friday.
Happy
Hey
We made
Friday.
everyone,
it.
happy Friday.
We made it. We got Michael and Kostas here with us. One more Friday, one more deep dive into EDRs and all its goodness. And we got the creator of the EDR Telemetry Project over here. So I'm excited about this. How
It
are you
will
guys doing?
be it will be awesome. It will be awesome. Doing good, doing good. Thank you very much for the invite.
Oh man, thank you for coming. Appreciate you. We are organized, and by organized I mean we literally have a very short three-item agenda over here. Um, Episode three, EDR telemetry. At a really high level, we wanted to chat about what EDR telemetry or what telemetry EDR collects. Well, I'm just talking about myself. Um, what prevention efficacy could mean is Costas. I think yeah, we were chatting pre-show a little bit. I definitely want to pick your brain on this one.
Mhm.
And then we have some closing thoughts. Mike specifically has a gift for us all on Friday for closing thoughts on this. And of course, we got our Friday meme here. Prevention is hunting AI powered threats right here. That said,
Awesome.
Costas, I talk to us here, and I'll bounce around while you chat, but like talk to us a little bit about the EDR telemetry project, man. I don't think a lot of people have heard of this project, uh, and if you haven't, again, I think I share this online. Today is the best day to visit that site. Here we
Yeah,
go.
we recently put a methodology page out, which is something that was spread among like so many other different pages, but we just consolidated everything in methodology just to make it easier for people. I should have done that a lot earlier, but well, the information was there. It was just not all in one neat place. But yeah, we've been running since 2023 the EDR Telemetry Project. Um, the community is really behind this project because people who are in the front lines especially understand that having telemetry is everything to detection, threat hunting, and even creating detections. This is what we're trying to basically emphasize with this project and make sure that we just make visible to the people what each of the different EDRs are collecting in terms of telemetry. Um, there is different events that we believe an EDR should collect in terms of the different operating systems. For Windows and Linux and macOS that we're currently supporting. Um, and for Windows, for example, we have a ton of different areas where we would want an EDR to collect information, and a lot of people would be familiar with. But when it comes to other operating systems, there is uh, a lot of uh, there is a lot of visibility gaps both from Linux and from macOS, and a lot of the events that we should be seeing as threat hunters or investigators in general are not very clear. So with macOS, especially that we recently launched, there is a ton of telemetry that a lot of people in the community helped with, you know, uh, make sure that we add them as a subcategory, to make up the events for that telemetry. And a lot of them I had to do a lot of research to understand why we need them and how useful they are and what type of uh, events are being collected, and you know, and then do the research in understanding what EDRs are collecting themselves based on those events. And as you can see, there's a difference between Windows and Linux and macOS. There is a big visibility gaps from vendors for those operating systems. And this is what we're trying to highlight, because if you don't have that telemetry, it's very difficult to hunt across the different do different investigations or create detections that would help you prevent something that you want to prevent, or detect something that you want to detect. So yeah, this is why the EDR telemetry exists.
It's a lot of excess over here. I'm like scrolling
Yes,
around, and I'm like,
yes,
holy moly! Okay, Mac. There's a lot less things that get collected that I thought. I thought most of these EDR vendors would. Um, this is it's pretty amazing, Costas, that you and I guess it's a community driven effort. You
yes,
really collected this. It's pretty cool,
yes,
man.
yes. Thank you. It's been a community effort, and there is a lot of people like Olivia that put the first PR on that, and I really appreciate everyone that contributed to this. And um, I myself had to learn a lot about macOS and understand the different events that we will be supporting. Um, and I decided as well to put a blog post out about it, just to tell people why we collect those events. And by reading that, maybe you will also understand the different types of telemetry that macOS can provide you with and what you're missing currently from your EDRs.
Got it. This post here from March.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome.
Is
I,
there is there any? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jose.
no. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
I was just curious if there was a particular telemetry source that was a surprise to you out of Mac, Windows, or Linux that you hadn't really experienced or really seen before until you started digging into this.
For macOS, most of them, because I wasn't that, you know, um, that I guess I wasn't really, I didn't really know about all these different events that um, we could be supporting, like all these different visibility, um, uh, telemetry, basically, that data that we could collect and hunt for suspicious activity. From macOS is mostly most of them. There is a lot of overlap with Windows as well, like the classic events. And but yeah, even if you go to the macOS, you will see events like TCC activity, and it's so important to have that telemetry. And I didn't know about it, so I guess that's something that I'd learned as well. And
What does
it's useful for
TCC
others
mean?
to do so.
What does this
I
mean?
think,
Privacy in TCC.
yeah, it's like a lot of activity that takes place when there is. Uh, I'm pretty sure it's like when you have some, like when you have a camera been turned on or something, like an event like this, that I think shows up. Or I'm pretty sure that's if you go to the blog, I'm explaining it over there very clearly, and it would generate an event of such. If you go to the TCC section, yeah,
Transparency consumer
transparency
control.
consumer control, yeah,
I did.
sensitive resource like camera, microphone, and things like that, and they are, they generate telemetry if they're turned on or off, and this is useful to hunt for example, for different types of malware as well that do that.
Costas, I clicking around here again. Like so, first off, cool. You have Sysmon as one of the comparison points. I love it, especially for
Yeah,
Windows.
yeah.
Like there's Open EDR, so there's definitely some EDRs here that are more, they're they're open source, which is pretty awesome. Is there like to Mike's question? Like I guess on the opposite of a telemetry source that surprised you, is there? I know at some point on the site you had like prevention capabilities somewhere in here, right? Or like application control capabilities, but I don't see it anymore. Is there a reason why some of these EDRs just don't do or do application control? Maybe you don't mark
Oh
it
yeah,
anything.
you're thinking about the comparison project. We have
okay, sorry, I'm
yeah,
thinking of another.
yeah, it's the EDR comparison, which is like a premium service where you pay to access and see a comparison between the different EDRs, and it's an analysis that I have come up with a colleague of mine, and we are looking into different EDRs and how they compare with each other, not just in terms of telemetry, but in terms of everything, all the features. And this is where
Cool.
we have some of them where they include prevention and some of them they don't, based on application control, actually. Like if they include features like application control, and a lot of them don't. Others use an extension to fulfill that gap, and it's not integrated as neatly um, in these cases. But a lot of them, they don't have that capability, and maybe it's a good uh, way to talk about that, I guess, the privacy efficacy,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
prevention efficacy.
Why? Yeah, actually. So on that specific point, and this site is beautiful, man. Um, back to. I noticed that you updated your methodology,
Yes.
and I'm always watching this because like in the back of my head, I'm always thinking, man, Costas must get a lot of attention for putting these scores out there. Like these gotta, they have to be controversial. I'm only assuming, right? Like I'm assuming. You keep me honest,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like, sure, vendors gonna be like, no, you should give me an extra point because of blah blah blah, right? But I think this scoring goes hand in hand with methodology, and one of the things I caught my eye was that you don't you call it out, right? You don't evaluate prevention efficacy and detection efficacy.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like I'm curious why. And if you did, how would you approach it?
Yeah, we are only looking into telemetry side of things. Telemetry is feeding into everything, though. Telemetry is feeding into detection and prevention. So if you don't have telemetry, you won't be able to create any of those two. So we don't want to get into um, the detection and the prevention side of things, because this is not what the project is about. It's about telemetry and unmasking basically what the EDR vendors are not really doing a very good job at communicating to the end users in terms of what they make available to them for them to investigate. Uh, an EDR, in my opinion, should be providing a very detailed level of information, telemetry data to the end users, so they can act accordingly. They can do what they want with it. Um, that's something that will allow them to, go and create investigations and triage incidents better, uh, without relying on an EDR, which is a black box when it comes to detection and prevention. And it will be very difficult to compare those because we won't have an insight into all the different detections, all the different preventions that the vendor has. So that's not known to us. So what is known, though, is what we can see in terms of telemetry. If I buy this product today, will I be able to investigate uh, that specific scenario? And this is what the answer that we're trying, the question that we're trying to answer.
Makes total sense. Question. So back to prevention, it felt like you there's something you figured out, or like we run into a lot of companies that say that EDR does prevention, which is great. Like they probably, I mean, they do stop applications from running,
Mhm.
but clearly they're victims of bring your own vulnerable driver. We know this, right? So it's like, yeah, I don't know if you're gonna trust something that can get killed by a driver to do prevention for you. But that's besides the point. Um, what why don't EDRs lean harder into prevention if it really avoids a lot of the attacks that they're supposed to be stopping for customers?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Um, I think it's within their capabilities to do so. Absolutely. Um, it's definitely something that they could do. Um, Now, why they are doing it is, in my opinion, they have to cater to a wider audience, and they have to they have to be able to um, understand, they have to be able to create rules that are not very are not going to cause any business, are not going to have any business impact as well. So they have to walk a very fine line between creating a prevention rule and causing a wide incident with blocking something that they shouldn't be blocking. Um, in my career, I've seen a lot of weird things being done by developers, and some of those things could be, whatever, anything that you can think of. But I will bring you some examples just to drive the point. Um, let's say we have a detection or a prevention rule. Let's say prevention rule that would uh, prevent the execution of a lol bin from an from a user directory, let's say app data or desktop or downloads or whatever. Let's say app data, and let's say that lol bin is you know simd.exe or run-dll32, and it's renamed as well. So it's just another reason to do that. So that one might think that's a good rule, and at the face of it, I would also think that's a very good rule to have. But that that might not be the case for a different environment. They are using a vendor with a help desk application that you've never heard of, that they're doing some weird things. They're running their own, you know, binaries like this from an app data directory, because this is where it's installed, and they are renaming them as well, just so they don't appear that they're running cindy.exe or whatever, or run DLL32. And why they would do that, you would have to ask the developers. I don't know, but I've seen that many times, and uh, that rule could have a business impact, and EDRs are looking into that, and they are considering the risk of creating such prevention rules and weigh it in with the business impact to their customers. And to me, this is one of the reasons that would hold EDRs back um, in creating prevention rules like this that would not only prevent these type of things, but also look into malicious, log drivers and lol RMMs and all the different types of things. Um, so I guess this is one of the biggest things that EDRs will, the biggest fear of the EDRs. Um, so we need a solution like Magic Sword, I guess, that would have to look into a baseline of something, bring and reads the data that its environment has, um, and with intelligence, from all these different projects that we've just talked about, and provide an educated policy, and based on the baseline, which is very dependent on the environment. So every environment would be different, and the person that applies that policy would be able to say, okay, I'm confident that this will not cause any issues, and because I know that these are uh, malicious use cases of how these lol bins would be used, I'm confident in creating a blocking policy based on that. um, but that would have to be case by case scenario, and EDRs would have to cater to a wider audience, and it's not easy to do.
It isn't, and I think part of it is also like EDR has no concept of the intent of something getting executed, but the user does. To your point of the developer knows its intent most of the times, right? Most of the times, that's a big caveat, right? But it, again, like an RMM is not evil. The intent of it is evil or unauthorized at best, right? And so EDRs don't have this knowledge, but yeah, again, it's an amazing control. I have always told people, don't you should run an EDR. Like they do certain things extremely well, and they're there for a purpose. But I think the goal for defenders should be defense in depth. And I honestly, like, to me, it's wild that a lot of people depend on application control for ADR because they tend to be the victims of a lot of stuff too that are getting people compromised today, right? So, but yeah, man, I don't know. I have emotions on this, obviously, and talking about wild things in wild environments, like at Splunk, and Mike, keep me honest, but like we would write rules that the moment it hit production, we realized that they would just break apart because people would do crazy stuff with their logs. Like you would write a rule and say, "Oh yeah, this is gonna work perfectly fine." The moment you rolled it out, I was like, "Yeah, this is not working perfectly fine."
Yes, it takes a lot of time
Yeah.
to create those prevention rules and or from detection rules to be promoted to a prevention rule. It takes a long time to look into the data and doing analysis and weighing the risk of creating a prevention. I understand completely the the decision, I guess, for some of the, but it, there is they're just risk averse, but we need to have a way to block this type of applications and this type of executions in a way. And that's why if EDR does not want, that's why I said once on a comment uh, on social media when I responded as to you, I think I said, if EDRs don't want to do it, we have to figure out a better way. And um, it's fine if they don't want to block and prevent, but someone has to. So yeah.
I was thinking about for telemetry over the years. I remember before we shipped LOL drivers, EDRs in particular, and most AV kind of stayed away from drivers, right? And was there like, I was just kind of thinking about with the visibility and just the telemetry project in general, was there kind of like any kind of like sources kind of across the board that seem pretty low visibility in the beginning, but maybe progressively over time, like a year or two, that you see and things get better?
Um, Nothing comes to mind specifically at the moment. I've seen a lot more vendors are trying to get some of the important telemetry around file download events and
Mm.
things like that, which is, I think it's a big gap and it's very difficult. A lot of those events are very difficult to create, to collect the telemetry out of. There is a lot of noise. In many cases, you have to do a lot of filtering, and the job of the vendors is not easy. And
Yeah.
um, but this is no, we are not judging whether it's easy or not. We're judging the result here. So uh, I've seen a lot more vendors are doing better with and I had that in mind to create a, a, a page where I saw the how the EDRs have improved since the beginning of the EDR Telemetry Project, because a lot of vendors are basically exactly um, creating their telemetry schema of their EDRs based on the EDR Telemetry Project. This
Hmm.
is exactly what we are providing, and we just took it directly from the EDR Telemetry Project. A lot of vendors do that, and it's cool to
That's
see.
awesome.
It's
That's really
cool
cool
to
to
see.
see.
Yes, because it's the impact that we have. But one of the categories that I think it's underrated and it's very difficult to collect is like file downloads. And you would have to look at a low level why that is. It's very difficult to collect that telemetry because of how the Windows operating system provides you with access to this type of data. But but when when I have vendors that do it, it's so nice to see. Another thing
Oh,
is as well, like, oh sorry, you want to
no, no, I
mention
was gonna
something?
say Lucy Zombie on the chat here brought like a really good point. It's like ARM developers love to ship things like ping.exe and package it, which is like, what do you even do there, right? Like that. That's yeah, that's a recipe for it's just a bad day for the detection developer, right? Or like or
Yeah,
anybody to prevent anything from happening, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
it's
things
true.
like that.
It's
Yeah.
true. Like Mike, you and I've seen like some RMMs run like PowerShell subprocess or command.exe subprocess, right? Like
Tons of PowerShell.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like, well,
yeah.
can't prevent PowerShell from running, right? And yeah, yeah.
And they don't write the code in a way where organizations can run constrained language mode. So you have to keep in a downgraded state to allow for your RMM to operate. So
Yeah.
it's a bad position in general.
Yeah, I know we have like very little time left here, but I want to ask you guys, how are you dealing with that problem with the data that you are receiving from customers, and how you're creating the policies to make sure that you don't have any issues for customers that are applying this policy in prevention mode?
Jose, are you there? Or
Yeah, I'm
like
here.
your
I can say.
screen's
Yeah, I was.
frozen? Oh, okay.
No, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not frozen. I was like, do you want to take it, Mike? Or
No, go ahead, man.
all right.
Tear it
I
up.
think that the we take this two-step approach, Kostas. Like we're like again we're leveraging. You mentioned we leverage Intel to first kind of like get everybody going and get started with like, hey, here are the 80% of the things you shouldn't be running, and then that gets fed into a policy updated consistently every 2 hours. We then have users be on a baseline mode 48 hours. Like we recommend it. We don't enforce it, but we recommend it. And again, 48 hours is the minimum we need data just to make sure we're not tripping over ourselves. Since the product is focused on preventing things that get abused, we're not going after everything in the OS. There's not a lot of false positives unless you're running something that is known abusable, right? Which is you probably want to know and then allow it or not, right? And so that's kind of like the second gate of like avoiding false positives. Once you're 48 hours in this baseline mode, you flip to enforcement. I think false positives to that are going to be like they will occur eventually in a large enough environment, and the product has like workflows to make sure that you don't get hooked. Like if we prevent something from running you should have ran, there's like a process we call it a break glass process that local admin can initiate to like allow it temporarily and then feedback.
That's great.
Yeah, so it makes a workflow process easy. It again, and so it's not a completely elimination of false positive. That'd be a lie, right? But
Mm-hmm.
but it absolutely reduces it. And since we're focused on only things that are threats, right, or potentially abusable, also further reduces that scope of like issues. And we're doing
Yeah.
that because we're threat informed, right? We're bringing in things that are threats into
Hmm.
the policy right away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a follow up on that as well. Are you taking into consideration, for example, from a process that was run, are you taking into consideration its command line as well, or surrounded context from users? Or
Yeah, so newer agent, and keep me honest here, Michael. Like the newer version of the agent has the entire process chain from parent to child to the command line executed, and then we have some fancy logic that also does like analysis on the command line to pull out like if there's anything risky in it. We're like, oh, so there's an IP address, so it's like encoding here plus an IP calling out to something in the command line, right? Um, Again, I think the ethos or the idea behind the product is first reduce the attack surface, right? So like, hey, let's not
yeah,
allow the things that are going to get you compromised to run unless you need it, and then wrap a bunch of detections around the things that need to run. Like for example, PowerShell. Like there's no way to stop PowerShell from running. You're going to break the OS, right?
yeah,
So there's a bunch of uh, and we haven't really showed the product a whole lot, but like Mike, and I'm going to talk about your baby for a second. Mike built an entire like on Windows AMC provider that looks for all kinds of weird execution of PowerShell, right? And there's just detections around it, right? So it's like, hey, if we get allowed to run because you just need it, we're going to detect if it's doing anything weird on it, right? But most again, the goal is to prevent things from running that are going to get you compromised in the first place. And that's again defense in depth, right? And this is not in lieu of a EDR. Like EDRs are going to focus on malware. They do that great, right? We're not. We're going to
yes,
focus on things that are abusable. So yeah, man. Yeah, we're excited about this product. But honestly, I'm also excited about the EDR Telemetry Project. Like since day zero, I've been a fan. I know it's a controversial kind of thing to start comparing products out there, but
we
it
don't
helps you
mind.
to make controversy sometimes is for aimed at the right purpose is good, especially when you're informing users.
Yeah,
Um, I know we're out of time here, but I do want to share Mike, your surprise, and you're gonna introduce it. I'm not, and then we can close it off. But ABCs or ABPs.
Yeah. Yeah, always be preventing.
Always be preventing, right? Exactly. Instead of always be closing.
Yes.
No. Thank you, Kostas, again
That's
for
cool.
joining us.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for the community, and happy Friday, everybody.
Thank y'all.
Bye, bro.